This is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. The game is now optimized for Xbox Series X. So we're getting 3 options here, alongside a host of great improvements for the experience that really, kind of amp up the experience to the highest degree. This is one gorgeous looking game, and I can't wait for the follow-up that's going to be built on Unreal Engine 5. And it sounds like the developers in their statement out there are also very excited about that as well. So what we're getting here, 3 options, all have HDR support. The first is performance. That has no ray tracing. It has dynamic up to 1080p and 120 Hz. Next is resolution, which has no ray tracing and is dynamic up to 4K at 60 FPS. And finally, we have Enriched, which is what we're playing first. So this has DirectX ray tracing with a focus on reflections within the game. And we should see some of that being mirrored here in the water. At least that's what I read, was it was reflection focused. And then past that, we're getting dynamic up to 4K at 30 FPS, with this being the enriched setting, which is kind of cool. So you also get some other improvements, including upgraded materials, particles, and LOD, level of detail. They've also included one of the most requested features, which is chapter select, so you can go back and get your mysterious runestones. Lucky me though, I guess since I started a new save last time to do a video on the Series X, I actually it doesn't seem like chapter select is an option for me. So that's fantastic. But anyways, the game looks absolutely incredible. So as you can tell, you go down to graphics, and you have to do this from the main menu. You used to be able to change this on the fly. You actually have to go to the main menu to change it. So we're going to be showing off the different options here. But we do get the photo mode. I have that on because I thought it was a really great idea to kind of present this and kind of do just quick little looks at the character detail. Like, I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic, this experience. This is one gorgeous, seriously gorgeous game. It is really beautiful. I call it ASMR the video game, and I definitely suggest playing this with headphones on, because it is an incredibly immersive experience when you are playing it in that way. So with the reflections here and the ray tracing, you can actually see, and it's hard in movement, but with it actually frozen here, we get a reflected look at our lead character. You see those right there, reflected in the water, alongside the trees and some of the environment. Again, a little bit harder to see, once you actually exit this. So we're gonna, we can actually do different effects and stuff. So it's got like a pretty cool, sort of camera effect mode if you want to take photos in that. I mean, this game has some beautiful scenes for you to do that in. But yeah, it's just kind of a really gorgeous and greatly appreciated improvement to the overall experience to be able to do this as you enjoy this, even better trip to Helheim, and you track down your lore stones using the chapter select. So yeah, that would have been pretty helpful for me if I would have been able to actually experience that. So this game is pretty gruesome. It's pretty dark. It has a lot of walking, puzzle solving, little bits of combat here or there, really intense scenes, great use and display of mental health in a video game. I think it's beautifully well handled, and in general, a really, really, truly great experience that I think is, a lot of fun to play and very interesting to dive into and explore. And like I said, having these options with the ray tracing and that is absolutely fantastic. It would have been nice to have a 60 FPS ray tracing option. I feel like when you look at like Miles Morales, that one, same with Ratchet and Clank, that I hope maybe they also consider doing another update later on to give us 60 FPS, with the dynamic. I think, there's not really a reason they shouldn't necessarily be able to do that. But at the same time, I'm very happy that we have this option available here. So as you can see, you get these really intense, almost mythical type environments, and it really dives into the psyche of this damaged individual that's just trying to almost get revenge, almost like get some sort of solace in the issues that they've dealt with the loss of their loved ones. And it looks just absolutely amazing. And the performance from this individual, for this character, is absolutely amazing. Just like a truly standout performance in terms of voice work, the expressions, the motion capture. truly a remarkable showcase of technology and a beautiful game that has obviously been very successful. And I'm very excited to see the follow-up release to this. I think it's going to be a defining entry, like, for the generation, a game of the generation, perhaps, at this point, just from what we've already seen. But for now, even this first game, boundary pushing for technology. And as soon as we're finished up with this checkpoint, we will be switching up to the next option so that you can see the differences. But I just thought having a cinematic segment here would be a really good showcase of the visual quality just in a cinematic kind of experience. So first off, before we make the switch, because we are making a switch in this area here, I thought it would be good to once again just show off the reflections so you can see the character and the clouds being reflected. And then we're going to switch over and you're going to see how that impacts the reflections of the game. Because, whoa, that looks so cool. The clouds being reflected beautifully on there. Oh, that is gorgeous. I want to do a whole ray trace playthrough. But anyways, we're going to switch over here. So this is the performance mode, which once again is dynamic up to 1080p with 120 hertz. And it is insanely fluid. Just insanely fluid. But notice, wow, there's not even water here. Oh, we got to move up a little bit, but notice that basically you just don't get the reflections that we got, the ray trace reflection. There's just none of that obviously present here. But yeah, this is like an insane level of fluidity. But obviously you lose a lot of resolution quality, you lose a lot of like some of the texturing and that. But you get this like smooth, insanely smooth frame rate, which if you're doing like a combative scene would be absolutely fantastic. It would feel much more natural having this frame rate. And I'll remind you that YouTube can't present 120 FPS. I can't record at 120, so you're kind of getting, I guess, almost a downsampled look at it to some degree as well. But it's just the idea of kind of presenting this frame rate and just talking about it so you can see it in action, like the responsiveness of the water, it just feels super highly fluid and impressive just in terms of the technology being deployed here. And I know I'm using a very particular kind of selection or slice of the game, but that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do, is to present you a back and forth thing, being like, hey, here's how this looks, here's how that looks, and letting you kind of see the comparisons between them as we go back and forth, because I think that's a really great way to do it. And I do feel that you get the really kind of a nice balance between modes with the resolution 4K 60, which will be our last choice. But it's just really neat to see these selection options. I'd love to hear from folks that want to focus on 120 FPS for this type of game, because when I think of these more cinematic heavy kind of games, I think of, hey, 60 is really cool, but I also really want the visuals to just pop when I'm playing them. And it's really neat the choices that we've been given here. I don't think there's many other generations gaming-wise where we've been given this like allotment on consoles for like visuals and that. It's kind of amazing. It really is quite a technical showpiece on the Series X, and it's amazing that this game's even getting updated, this many years on. Oh, it looks like the water did come out a bit more. It's just like the water has such less of an effect due to the fact that it doesn't have the ray tracing. I mean, the regular usage of kind of creating these, I guess, screen space type reflections, like it's kind of decent, but it's still not the ray tracing effect that I would it's desire. Is that a static sky? Oh, that's a little disappointing.
She does remember.
Wish the sky moved. That's actually really disappointing in most games. And I will point that out every time in games when the skies don't move. But yeah, this is just kind of like the 120 hertz option was the main focus here, just so you can kind of see the movement and how the visuals have been toned and changed due to going to this super high frame rate, which is kind of fascinating that it even is included in this game, if that makes sense. Because it's not necessarily one where I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I gotta have that high frame rate. So it's almost fascinating for me to actually see it being deployed here. It's cool. It's really, really cool that they are doing it. But yeah, it's neat. Oh, and then the rain coming down, nice little effect. Like, it feels so fluid. The high frame rate, just like the movement and all that feels really good and loose. Like, you kind of think of the game as being almost like cumbersome on purpose gameplay wise when you're playing it for that heavy set of combat and that. But when you get up to this high frame rate, you actually feel like she really moves around like quite naturally. It's just really neat to have that sort of feeling and change between the different options. Because like I said, when you play it, it sort of feels like more of a slow and drawn game. But when you have a high frame rate, you're like, oh, maybe it's just kind of having to do with that lower FPS that we've been playing with for quite a while. So I guess with that point, we should probably move on to maybe part of the lengthier thing that I want to showcase, and that is the resolution mode, because that's a good balance between the two choices here. So this is the resolution mode, which I kind of know gives you the best of both worlds. So you're getting that dynamic up to 4K at 60 FPS, but you are getting no ray tracing, which is a little disappointing. I do wish that they could have given us this type of option as well and just had it like scale even more, because even in future generations you would get the improvement where it would be hitting that higher 4K even better, which is kind of neat. But yeah, this one looks really good, feels good at the 60 FPS, so it's kind of like a nice balance between the two of them, and I think that's really great. So let's go into the photo mode, because I just want to kind of show off the detail of the character. So I would assume, well, I wouldn't necessarily assume, but I believe this one should give us a decently high resolution, just in terms of the fact that it doesn't have the ray tracing implemented. It's 60, but it's not hitting 120. So I imagine that's kind of what they were going for with this one. And yeah, this is, quite a remarkable game just in terms of the quality and the experience of it. And I hope I've also given a bit of a review in regards to just like the game itself. Seriously, you definitely should play this game. It is a great story. It is a great look at the psyche, mental health and everything like that. I think it's a very important sort of game in that regard. I think it handles the subjects very respectfully, very well done. It is a great story, a great narrative. Put some headphones on, have a really lovely sort of night or day working through this game. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. It's not like super heavy on combat, so while there are some hard spots, harder spots. You know what I mean? Like, you can tone down the difficulty if you need to, as well. It's really, what I'm trying to say is it's more of a story-focused game. It's one where narrative is key. It's the top of what this is trying to provide. Gameplay wise, so that's mostly what I'm saying is, like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, combat super difficult or anything. I'm just saying there are options to make sure that you do, if you need to have a very cinematic look at this title and a very unique experience with it that I think is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I am so damn excited about looking forward to the follow-up. This is such a great optimization to have, because I literally had no clue this was going to happen. This was a complete surprise. It's an older game too. I've noticed that a number of older titles are getting optimized, whereas in past generations, you just wouldn't get that. These games would be left behind. And it's just amazing that they're actually doing this to preserve, I want to say, the legacy and the experience of this game far past this current point in time. A lot of times, visuals kind of hold back people from playing older games. And now I don't really think there's any sort of excuse as to why, you might not want to see what this has to offer. It's just such a beautiful looking game. It really, really does just shine the texture detail, the character detail. Again, that performance, I think long term, when you look back at the improvements in the technology for the performances we see in games, this is going to be one of those early ones you talk about where you're like, this really did elevate the medium in terms of getting a person behind these performances. And I know there's other games that do, similar motion capture. We've had it for a long time. We're going to have more of it in the future. We've had some stellar performances, but this is really, truly a person-like presentation. And I think that's kind of amazing. And I know I'm totally going off about the technical stuff, so while this is like a review that you could use for the game, it's also one, again, where we are focused on the optimization, since I have, reviewed this multiple times at this point, over time when it came to Xbox and everything like that, and then the Series X, revisiting it, seeing what it looked like, and now again, taking a look at it now. And it's just what I really want to get across is this is a very touching, emotional, driven experience that has a near perfect sort of narrative. It's fantastic. It's very very well done. It's a great game. It's truly worth playing. Like really 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 great. And then there's like a slight element with those runes of like puzzle solving. And I really wish that I had chapter select. I'm hoping maybe I'm just not finding it in the menus or something, but I'm having this, terrible feeling that I'm kind of screwed there because I reset my, save thing or whatever. So I'm kind of worried about that. And this is like some of the puzzle solving is like kind of finding the matching of these runes and stuff. It's actually kind of neat how that works. And then you'll find different like dimensions of how like certain things are going. Like it's really quite a fascinating puzzle solving system.
What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's at work.
Yeah, because it's like these rune things, and then I don't know how to describe it really, but it's quite magnificent. And then like tonally it's cool. I'm sure you've been hearing, especially if you have headphones on, tons of like whispery things, and that's where I say it's like very ASMR like. It's quite a binaural experience. You really feel like you're just immersed in the things that this lady that has had this intense trauma is dealing with, the problems that she's overcoming and working towards in this epic narrative that takes you on not only sort of a realistic journey, but also a very spiritual one as well, I suppose you could say, just in terms of the design and the scope of it. It's very, very good. That's the biggest part of this. It is a near masterpiece sort of gaming experience that is something that I don't really think you should miss out on, because it is something that is so perfectly well done. Now, I will say again, between the different modes, I would say give the ray tracing one a chance. Just see what it's like, because it's kind of cool that we have the ray tracing option. But I think gameplay-wise, you're probably going to want, for this type of game, this mode here, the resolution one, to get that balance between, kind of having the frame rates while also having, the performance. For me, having, the best of both worlds is kind of nice. And I really do wish that they would have given us also a 4K ray tracing at 60. That would have been really quite appreciated. I know it might not have necessarily hit super high res spots, but we've seen games be able to do that, so it's kind of like, oh, it would have been kind of cool to have, it would have been a good option. But I am very appreciative for what we did get with this one, because I do think it's an awesome upgrade. I'm very, very pleased by what they provided here, what they did with the game. And it's so fun actually just sitting here kind of replaying it again too, just kind of being like, oh wow, this game is so stellar and such an achievement. And to have this now be like, part of the first party lineup, I think is fantastic to have this character in the lineup of, growing Xbox franchise characters. I think is really special, and I think she's a great character. And I think this is a really good franchise that I hope to see continue to grow in exciting ways in the future, because I think there's so much potential that you can do with this story-wise to kind of build it outwards with the mythological things. It's just such a unique setting, a unique experience, a unique game that I think it really does stand out, and I think you should definitely hop in there. And I hope that this has given you a good showcase of the 3 different modes, giving you the context of how they're playing and how they're performing. Oh man, these intense cutscenes are so crazy.
I'll give you what you want. I won't resist anymore. Just give him back. Darkness is coming. How do you give up. Don't. You did this.
A vision of what's to come. Poor Senua. The darkness does not bargain. It does not reason. It is wrought. And now it has taken hold. It will spread towards her head, the seat of the soul, until there is nothing left of her. All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time. The hardest battles are fought in the mind. That is what Dillian taught her. With every defeat, the dark rot will grow and soon it will take her soul. But for now, at least, she still has control of her mind. And she will fulfill her vow. Whatever the cost.
He's not there.
Listen to me, Senua. The goddess Hela lies behind the gate to Helheim. To open the gate, you must first face the gods that guard it. The god of fire, Surt, and the god of illusion, Valravn. Spill their blood to open